Welcome to this explainer. You know, it's so easy to think setting up an aquarium is just buying a glass box and filling it with water. But when we look at the science behind it, we realize it's actually about strategically planning a thriving, balanced ecosystem. And to do that, we absolutely have to start with the foundational physical elements, the exact size of your tank, and precisely where it goes in your home.
So, is starting small actually making things harder? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? It feels totally natural to assume a smaller tank is less intimidating because it just takes up less space in a room. But going small actually completely removes our margin for error. We're going to dive into exactly why that happens, and honestly, it really comes down to some incredibly interesting aquatic physics. Here is our blueprint for today. First, size matters for water stability. Second, finding the perfect location. Third, equipment and maintenance access. Fourth, filtration and circulation needs. And finally, building a long-term foundation. We really must master these structural pillars before ever bringing a single fish home.
Section 1. Size matters for water stability. The paradox of tank volume.
Okay, let's dive into this counterintuitive reality of why larger tanks are actually much more forgiving. It all comes down to the core concept of water stability. In a larger aquarium, you have a massive buffer effect. Because there's a higher volume of water, any environmental changes, whether that's a dip in room temperature, a shift in pH, or a spike in biological chemicals, happen much more slowly than they do in a smaller tank. Think of it literally like putting a drop of food coloring in a teacup versus putting that same drop in a swimming pool. The pool barely even registers it, right? This larger volume creates a vastly safer environment, which is especially crucial if you're planning a complex community setup with multiple different fish types.
And this brings us to a major hurdle, the fish themselves. It is so easy to buy tiny juvenile fish at the store with their extremely low bioload and completely forget about their future state. I mean, they do not stay that cute forever. As adults, their size, activity, and territorial behaviors multiply exponentially. Planning a tank size based solely on the juvenile state is a total setup for a rude awakening. As those fish grow into adults, a tank that's too small leads directly to overcrowding, rapidly deteriorating water quality, and severe stress-related illnesses.
To combat that inevitable growth, the smartest move for sure is intentionally understocking. When you understock based on the adult size of the fish, you are giving your filtration system and your overall biological balance the physical room it needs to work efficiently. Always consult reputable species profiles before you make a purchase. By leaving a comfortable margin of error, your system can easily process waste without constantly hovering right on the brink of a toxic spike.
Section 2. Finding the perfect location. Defending against environmental threats.
Now, what's really interesting about this next phase is how your physical room actually dictates the health of your tank just as much as the water inside it. There are these invisible enemies in our homes, danger zones we need to actively avoid. Direct sunlight is a huge one. It acts as an incredibly powerful engine for rapid algae blooms and causes dangerous, unpredictable heat swings in the water. Then you have frequently open doors, heating vents, and drafty windows, which all cause sudden, stressful temperature shifts. And please, don't forget high-traffic bump zones. The absolute last thing a delicate ecosystem needs is a hyperactive golden retriever crashing into the glass every time the doorbell rings. You want a peaceful spot that minimizes exposure to all of these direct environmental stresses.
You also have to ground ourselves in physical reality here. Water is incredibly heavy. By the time you factor in the thick glass of a large tank, the dense substrate at the bottom, the rocks, the decor, and the sheer weight of the water itself, the total load becomes immense. Water weighs over 8 pounds per gallon. A modest 50-gallon tank can easily weigh over 500 pounds once it is fully set up. This isn't something you can just plop onto a standard living room bookshelf or a flimsy end table. You absolutely must use a properly rated stand sitting on a perfectly level surface to prevent a catastrophic failure.
Section 3. Equipment and maintenance access. The mechanics of daily care.
A great location isn't just about aesthetics or structural support. It has to be incredibly practical for the human maintaining it. Think about the easy access requirements. You are going to be interacting with this tank constantly. You need enough physical clearance to test the water easily, room around the sides to properly clean the glass, space above to handle daily feeding without spilling, and crucially, unimpeded access to remove, clean, and replace your filter components. If your tank is shoved tight into a corner or squeezed underneath a low shelf, you are going to dread maintenance. And when you dread maintenance, you skip it, and the ecosystem suffers. Positioning the tank for easy day-to-day care is just as critical as its placement in the room.
Alongside physical space, prioritizing safe electrical outlets, power protection, and room ventilation is absolutely key. You are constantly mixing water and electricity, so having reachable, protected power is critical, especially if you live somewhere with unstable electricity. You'll want surge protectors and possibly even battery backups. Furthermore, a well-ventilated room helps your equipment run far more efficiently and significantly reduces the buildup of condensation around your lighting fixtures. And remember, if your tank has a lid, always verify that your lighting and heating equipment are installed exactly according to manufacturer guidance for safe heat distribution.
Section 4. Filtration and circulation needs. Powering the engine room.
Let's move to and see how this builds our ecosystem's engine. Because the tank size directly dictates the life support systems you need. There's a direct relationship here. A larger tank volume requires scaled-up biological filtration to handle the increased water mass. You simply need more beneficial bacteria to filter a larger body of water. At the same time, your intended fish load dictates the pump processing power and the amount of water movement you need. When you choose a tank size, you aren't just choosing a glass box. You are actively choosing the scale of the biological filtration and the exact volume of water your pump must physically process every single hour.
And here is the danger of getting that math wrong. A tank that's too small for the intended fish load will completely overwhelm your filter's capacity. If you try to cram too many active or large fish into a small volume of water, your filter simply cannot process the resulting biological waste fast enough, no matter how good the filter actually is. This leads directly to recurring, intensely frustrating water quality problems that will feel impossible to fix.
There's a great consensus among experienced aquarists here. Many find that moving to a larger tank later is vastly easier than trying to patch water quality problems in an undersized system. Think about your likely stocking level, your feeding frequency, and how your tank will mature over the next few years. Calculating these future needs is vital, because treating your filtration as a one-time minimal purchase is a guaranteed path to failure. Upsizing the tank and the filter early is always easier than fighting a losing daily battle against toxic water.
Section 5. Building a long-term foundation. The order of operations.
Let's summarize our entire blueprint before you even start thinking about the fun parts like cycling the water or feeding the fish. So, the crucial point is this order of operations. Step 1, always plan for adult fish needs, not the tiny juveniles you see in the store. Step 2, prioritize water stability by choosing a sufficiently large tank to act as a buffer. And Step 3, choose a safe, climate-stable location away from direct sunlight, away from extreme drafts, and with excellent access for maintenance and power. If you get this structural foundation right, the rest of the setup process becomes incredibly manageable and far more enjoyable.
I want to leave you with a final thought. Is your space truly ready for a thriving ecosystem? Take a hard, honest look at your floor plan and your personal commitment to daily maintenance before you begin. By exploring these mechanics and planning strategically right now, you are setting yourself up for years of incredible aquatic success. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy planning.